Hey, here we are, back again. The Drive to Dayton is here, Season 2, Episode number 9. We've made it to 9 episodes. Our next episode, it will be February, gentlemen. February.
Do you guys know how many episodes we did last year in total? I know we didn't start until January or so, but
I'd say it was probably close to 9 or 10. I mean, because we did the one after the state tournament, wrapping things up. So it's probably like nine or 10.
There was 2 in the summer.
Yeah,
we got to be in 20 episodes now.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, as our viewership continues to grow, let's make sure our listeners are out there hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, commenting. Always appreciate the comments. And then if you're listening on iTunes or whatever form of podcast you're listening to, give us a review, 5-star us, do whatever you have to. Let's get our name out there. All right. So, we got a lot to get in a short amount of time today. We're going to have a guest a little bit later, which is why I wore my purple today, especially when you see who's coming on here. But we're gonna kick things off with our world famous introductory question. So here it is. It's pretty simple. How do we feel, gentlemen, about our state championship picks that we made officially on episode 2? We actually made it on episode 1, but we cut that out. I don't even remember what happened, but we ended up making the official picks on episode 2. So Roth, just for the listeners out there that may have forgot, I'm sure there's a lot of people that put these on their what is the word I'm looking for? Billboard? Bulletin board? Billboard, bulletin board?
Bulletin board material.
Haven't used the bulletin board in a while. So Roth went with Ignatius in Division 1, Lutheran West in Division 2, Lutheran East, Division 3, Richmond Heights, Division 4. He really, really went out on a couple of thin limbs there. I mean, he just definitely was walking on the wild side. Roth,
Northeast Ohio sweep, baby. I feel great.
So you're
no
thinking
changes to be made.
Another Northeast Ohio sweep?
Yes, sir. With 2 of the same teams and 2 different ones.
Okay.
So that would be, I believe, the third time since like 2018 was the first time, or 2017?
2017.
I think 2017, yeah.
Yeah, the year Jackson won.
Yeah.
So TJ, you had Ignatius, Lutheran West, Ottawa Glandorf, Richmond Heights. Would you like to make any corrections?
Oh, man, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. This year just felt so wonky. We talked about it a few different times in the group chat. I don't think there's any teams that are particularly great. I think that's why we've seen so many teams just kind of beating up on each other.
Yep.
I think also some teams take time to hit that stride, get acclimated with new pieces after losing, what they had in the senior class. I think this is going to be a year similar to 2021 where no holds barred, man. I think it's going to be all over the place. So I'm going to stick with Ignatius in Division 1, and I'm probably going to stick with Lutheran West in Division 2. I think it's pretty funny that last year, the Division 2 tournament was the one that I was looking forward to the most.
Mm-hmm.
And the tables have turned because I think Division 2, outside of the whole Richmond Heights thing, Division 2 might be the tournament that I'm not really looking forward to a whole lot. When I kind of scour and go through some of those Division 2 lists and rankings, I just honestly don't see too many different teams that I believe have a chance to win it. But I'm going to stick with Lutheran West. Oh man, this hurts my heart, hurts my soul, man.
He's gonna do it. He's gonna
Oh
do it.
man, I'm gonna make the jump to Lutheran East in Division III. Love those guys. Love the guys over at OG as well. The guest next week is probably going to have something to say about that. But I'm going to stick with Lutheran East in Division III, and I'm going to
TJ,
keep Richmond Heights in Division IV. It feels so terrible to agree with Rob. Like, do you know how? Like, I want to just leave the meeting. But honestly, I know Rob said he feels great about his picks. I don't. I don't at all. I don't think this is a year that's going to go how anybody thinks it's going to go. So,
yeah.
and I think that does kind of make things a little exciting, but I guess time will tell. You know, we're coming down the home stretch. I believe the tournament draw is February 11th. I could be wrong about that, but
You're right.
I mean, that's less than 2 weeks away. So
TJ,
Super Bowl Sunday.
what you just did to Ottawa Glendorf, TJ, was kind of like, when you break up with that girl and you're like, man, it's not you. It's me. It's not you. It's me.
man,
And TJ's going to have to see him February 10th.
I know. I feel like I'm going back to that ex-girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Terrible.
Yeah, Old Faithful.
I know Coach Jones is somewhere smiling, man.
Well, my picks from episode 2, man, I feel like I should blame this on, I wasn't quite in a mindset yet. I hadn't completely mourned the high school football season being over. Man, I went with Mentor in Division 1 on episode 2, and I talked to these guys last week, and I was doing a little researching, if you will. And I went back for the last 10 state tournaments, so dating back to 2013, because we didn't have one in 2020. The only team, what was it? There was one team in the last 10 years in Division 1 that has given up more than 55.6 points per game and won the state in Division 1. And we talked about that. You guys remember who I told you that was?
It was actually Menor, ironically enough.
Yeah, Menor in 2013 gave up like around 63, or I think so, 63, something like that. So only one team in 10 years has given up more than 55.6 points per game and won the Division I state tournament. Menor is currently giving up around 83 points per game. That's probably not going to get it done. You're just not going, you're just not going to outscore every single team giving up 83 points per game. If you're on a 6-7 game run in the tournament, I just don't see it happening. Statistics the last 10 years tell you it's not going to happen. So Menor's out for me. Then you look at Ignatius, and I mentioned them to you guys. Now, this past weekend brought them down a little bit. They're at that 60 mark right now. So they got some work to do to get down to that 50, 55, 56 number. But you guys have kind of talked me into this team. And
You're about to say Moeller, aren't you?
I'm going to go with Moeller, man.
I knew it.
There's a lot to like about that team.
And they're just now getting healthy too. I don't think people realize they were without 2 starters, 2 Division I guys for a good chunk of the season, to start off the year. So,
and this is a year where they don't have the bullseye on their back. It wasn't like 2018, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. I mean, those years they were the hunted. And this year they've been able to kind of just float a little bit. With the Southwest not as deep as it's been in years past. I think all of us would agree that that one of those 3 GCL teams has a real good chance of advancing down there. So I'm going to go with Moeller in 1, Trotwood Madison in 2. Kind of wild. That was kind of a wild pick. I just think Lutheran West is consistently the best team in D2. And I want to see if you guys agree with this. I mean, and this isn't a slight to anybody. I mean, it's going to sound like it, but are there really 4 state Final Four caliber teams in D2?
What number did you say?
In D2, like, are there legitimately like 4 state? I mean, we're going to have 4, but are there 4 state caliber level teams in D2? I don't see it.
I don't either. I think you're going to see some bad semifinal games down in Dayton.
I mean, listen, whoever makes it there is a really good team. Like, that's not what that's not what I'm trying to say. When you think about Final Four level D2, D1, I just don't see four teams of that caliber in D2.
None as good as like Chaminade Julian, Bishop Reedy, or Lutheran West last year, outside of maybe Lutheran West this year. That might be the only team that would compare to those 3 last year. Or in Buckville too. I forgot about the state champs.
And you guys talking about that just kind of brings up another point in my head about this potentially 7 divisions. Here we are, with a 4 division setup right now. And we're talking about how one of the biggest divisions could potentially be lackluster.
Yeah.
So now we're going to take those 4 divisions and we're going to spread it out to 7. Like, I just don't know if Ohio has the depth to have 7 quality tournaments.
Nope.
I just don't think we have the depth of individual talent nor just the teams. So I don't know. I guess we'll see.
4 to 7, guys, is a huge jump. I mean, listen, football, I understand, like the 7, like injury, like real legit injuries can occur in a football game, and there's a major difference between a D1 football team going out and playing a D6 football team. Like, that's not going to end well. But basketball, I just don't know if we need to jump to 7. That's a topic for another day. I did get a message from Matt Gould today about the input he was seeking from his coaches in his area. And
they all voted for 7.
Yeah, and I'll share. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I'll just finish out here. So in Division 2, I'm gonna go with Lutheran West. Trotwood's out. I'm going to stay with Lutheran East in Division 3, and then Richmond Heights in Division 4. So I'm Moeller, Lutheran West, Lutheran East, and Richmond Heights. So the only team outside of Northeast Ohio that of the 12 picks between us 3 is Moeller. So
and Stubbs, while you were talking about Moeller, I just kind of did a quick Google search. In the last 2 tournaments, we've only had 1 GCL South team reach the district final, which is not what we've been accustomed to seeing in the years prior. So that I think people might actually be excited to see Moeller back down there again. It almost to the point where you expected them to win it all. Now it's like I don't think anyone's really looking at them in that regard. So it's kind of a nice little change of pace for them.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if you guys would agree, but I mean, if you're ranking the D1 teams in the Southwest District outside of Centerville, those 3 GCL teams are probably in that top 5, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And we're talking about Moeller, Elder, and St. X.
I don't even know who would round out the 5.
Centerville and Sycamore, probably.
Yeah. I'd be Sycamore.
Or Winton Woods. Take your pick.
Well, gentlemen, we'll obviously have a better look at this the next time we kind of revisit these. We'll probably have brackets, so it'll be a little bit easier to kind of navigate and see what we're looking at. Let's quickly go through last week's recap. I'll just hit quickly the games that I had marked games of the week last week. Tri-Village beat Troy Christian 44-28. Troy Christian didn't even get to 30. So shout out to Tri-Village for an outstanding defensive effort there. North Adams knocked Fairfield from the ranks of the unbeaten with a 59-50 win. I'll talk more about North Adams in a bit. Jace Rothwell had 26 points for North Adams in that one. Antwerp at Wayne Trace. Wayne Trace won this game, but possibly could have lost Brooks Lockoff for the season with an ACL injury. Wayne Trace ends up losing the next night to Miller City, so that stinks for Wayne Trace. Highland and Ottawa Glandorf on Saturday night was everything that you could ask for in a high school basketball game. Colin White hits a 3 to erase a 10-point deficit. They win that 59-56 over Highland. Shout out to Highland for going up and playing that game. I mean, just that's awesome, man.
They got Lindsley coming up this week too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they played Lutheran East earlier in the year as well, so
And
definitely make it a more conscious effort to kind of beef up their schedule. And
Wayne
prepare for a
Trace
run.
at Smithville, they played that game, played University School, played Triway, played Dover. So they're trying to get out there and get all types of variety of style of play. Delphi St. John's beat Spencerville on Saturday night. St. John's beat Parkway, Versailles, and Spencerville last week. Big week for them. South Webster beat Wheelersburg at Wheelersburg, 63-56 in overtime. South Webster 14-2 now. Mogador shocked Warren JFK 63-53. This was a game that Mogador lost by 29 in December and come back and beat them. Mogador's won 10 straight now. Warren JFK's lost 2 in a row. Lost to Kenton Central Catholic as well. And then the other game I wanted to mention was, man, Preble Shawnee got beat 62-28 by Bishop Fenwick. Mason Shrout only had 11. They shot 29% as a team, 4 of 12 from the free throw line. For Fenwick, Bailey Timming had 23 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and Eddie Ferraro had 19 points on 5 threes. Kid's only averaging about 5 points a game, and he had 19. Must have just been a bad night for Preble Shawnee.
Yeah, this sounds like the stars were aligned. I was actually at that same game a year ago, and it was pretty competitive from what I remember.
62-28. So those were the games I had from last week. I'm going to mention some milestones here after you guys want to talk about anything that you saw last week.
So I was mostly in Kentucky last week, but I did catch one game in Ohio on Friday night, and that was Lakota West at Fairfield. And Lakota West took it to Fairfield on the road. I mean, from start to finish, Lakota West was the better team in this one. They win 71-54. Junior Isaiah Meade Moss had 25 points, was 5 for 6 from the three-point line. I thought Bryson Curry did a good job finding his teammates. He had 4 assists. Isaiah Tyson as well had 6 assists. Lakota West shared the ball at a really high level, 19 assists on 24 made field goals. That is an extremely high percentage of their shots that they made were assisted. Freshman Josh Tyson was everywhere on the court. He's a kid who just impacts the game in a lot of ways for a freshman. He has a scorer's mentality, knows how to move without the ball, can shoot it. And on the defensive end, he really flies around and gives good effort, whether it's guarding on the ball, jumping passing lanes. He blocked a three-pointer. He'll need to slow down and refine some of his defensive movements, but for a freshman. You know, I just love seeing his effort, and he is one of the more productive freshmen in Southwest Ohio. And then you also had freshman Bryce Curry, who starts next to Tyson, and Curry was 2 for 2 from 3-point range, and he was the de facto center for Lakota West starting lineup, guarding Gabe Clemens, holding Clemens to 4 points and only 1 offensive rebound. So a solid performance by Curry, even though the box score isn't going to show much, 6 points and 1 assist. But I was really impressed with Lakota West, their depth. They shared the ball well, and they're sitting tied for second place in the GMC. Sycamore at first at 9-2, and then you got Lakota West and Hamilton tied for second at 8-3. So really should be an exciting final month of the season in the GMC to see who's going to take this conference crown after I think a lot of people, including myself, thought that Fairfield would defend the title after going 15-1 last year, but they are below 500 at 5-6 in conference play.
TJ, anything catch your eye from last week?
Oh, my pillow caught my eye. My blanket caught my eye. So there was a stretch in January where over the course of 12 days, I had 11 days of basketball. Whether it was high school, college games, going to academy games. So last week was a much needed break for me. I'm actually looking forward to get back on the road this week, possibly make a few trips, kind of outside of my area. So looking forward to that. But yeah, definitely was a much needed rest for me this past week.
Love it.
Shout out to St. Ed's, by the way. I know they're tough to beat at home, but they knocked off a Louisville squad who, quite frankly, just on an absolute tear. Definitely one of the teams that we've mentioned quite a bit here on the show. So big win for Coach Flannery and company. And, they're always a player around this time of the year. So they have a strong core of seniors. And, if those guys can get the plan well and get the clicking, then, I think Division I in Northeast Ohio is wide open, especially when you consider, at least one of the heavy hitters is going to have to go out west. I think that leaves the door open for a sneaky team like St. Ed's to, make a deep push.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to my boy, Adam Vincenzo up at Delaware Hayes, pulling a sweep on Westerville North. I got wind that maybe some of the guys up at North just didn't really think Hayes was that good or any good at all, to be honest with you. They just got done swept by Delaware Hayes. One time without Vander Walker, this time they had him. I don't know what you say now. You're 0-2. So shout out to my boy Vince.
Maybe they'll meet again. Maybe we'll get a third meeting in the playoffs, like district final, regional semis. Like those are two teams in the Central District that could make it out.
We talked quite a bit about that just Division I region in Central Ohio, and I think as the year continues to kind of unravel, it's like who comes out of there? It's like, Newark was looking, like Newark dropped back-to-back games, right? Let Reynoldsburg, I guess kind of get their revenge tour started. And then I believe they dropped the next day to Hilliard-Bradley.
Yep.
Hilliard-Bradley is a team that's playing well right now. Reynoldsburg's hitting the stride. Olentangy Orange is still undefeated. You got teams out there like Big Walnut, Westerville North, Westerville South, who in my opinion might have the best player in Central Ohio, in Cruz McClure. They've already shown this year that they're capable of knocking off some of those top 5 teams. I am going to be very curious to see how Central Ohio plays out. I will absolutely be there for that district final Saturday down at Ohio Dominican. Definitely one of my favorite days of the entire season.
Yeah, I think our guest later on today, I think he may have a strong opinion on who's going to come out of there, but we'll see what he says. I want just while we're on the topic of, I have it pulled up right now. Division One in the latest AP poll today. Want to get your thoughts. Olentangy Orange is number 1, 5 first place votes. Garfield Heights, number 2 with 3 first place votes. So those teams are 1 and 2. Both are undefeated. Ignatius at 3 with 3 first place votes. Moeller at 4. Finley 5. Whitmer 6. Elder 7. Centerville 8 with 2 first place votes. Hayes at 9 and Sycamore at 10. Anything jump out to you there? Orange 1, Garfield Heights 2, Iggy 3.
Delaware Hayes seems low.
Yeah.
To me, I think they probably got the 10 right. Just maybe not quite in that exact order, for me at least. But not too terrible, considering the AP's track record in the past. Matt Gold, Cleveland.com, avid watcher of the show. Appreciate you as always, brother. He kind of, we've had a few conversations over the years just about the lack of not only input from the voters of the AP, but just a lack of just kind of research. I mean, a lot of times, like, the records aren't right when guys are voting. I think what happens is, voters look at the record, right, whether the team's unbeaten or not, how many losses they have, combine that with reputation and preseason, I guess, reputation, and it just kind of becomes a hodgepodge of teams. But I don't quite find it very accurate most of the time.
Did you say Brecksville was in there?
No.
I don't know. With only 1 loss, I would probably have Brecksville somewhere in the top 10, probably above Sycamore, maybe. And
Brecksville is in the others at 12.
Yeah, I'd probably have them top 10, to be honest.
Louisville was 11. Sandusky was 13. The other team absent is Lakewood St. Ed's. They are not mentioned in any of that.
They weren't even mentioned in the others at all?
No.
Wow.
Brunswick wasn't mentioned either?
No.
I'm looking at...
I would have Brunswick and the others receiving votes. I mean, they're sitting with only 2 losses, one of them to St. Ignatius and the other one to Strongsville. You got wins over Medina, Green, Cleveland Heights, 2 wins over Cleveland Heights. So I'd probably have Brunswick 12, 13, 14.
Yeah, and as I'm looking at Brecksville's schedule. Currently, their only loss was against Lakota East over the holiday break. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's awfully funny when a lot of these Ohio teams end up meeting up at these out-of-state tournaments.
Yeah.
Whether it be Arizona, Florida, California, South Carolina, and play each other in the championship game or whatever. I think that says a lot about just the brand of basketball we play here. But I think just kind of lack of strength of schedule and signature wins for Brecksville, for Brecksville would probably keep them right outside of my top 10 to 12. But obviously the team there, I mean, they play Bookdale tomorrow. They have a game at Eds. They play Stowe again. So, I mean, they still have some time to, kind of strengthen that resume. But I just think a lack of like a signature win for Brecksville kind of keeps me a little hesitant at the moment.
All right. Well, let me just mention D2, D3, D4, like the top here, and then I'll move on to the milestones that I wanted to mention, give these guys their props. Division 2, after looking at this a little closer, I mean, we do have like Lutheran West, Wyoming, Lexington, Hartley, Alter, Ursuline, CVCA, Shelby. That's your top 8. I mean, you can get 4 good teams out of that. So I'll stand corrected on that. Division 3, Lutheran East 1, Ottawa Glandorf 2. I think we all would agree with that. Division 4, Rushi is at 1 with 10 first place votes. If you're wondering, Richmond Heights is down tied for 5th. They do have 3 first place votes. So, moving on. Some good stuff this past week. A lot of stuff. And if we're missing things or missing something, just DM any of us and let us know if something happened that was milestone worthy or mention worthy. Can't get to everything. This is just what I see throughout the week. Bo Siegfried at Louisville set their single game record for assists in a game, so shout out to him. Hopewell Loudon's Evan Crease, if I mispronounced that, I apologize. He scored his 1,000th point. These are all 1,000-point scorers. Carson Mummy of McConnellsville Morgan. Will Yates of Springboro. I think Roth had him as a player of the week early on in the season. Nate Borling, 1,000 points for Columbia. Cam Elwer, who had a monster 41-point outing against Spencerville, also went over 1,000. He's only a sophomore, folks. Colin White passed one of my all-time favorite Ottawa Glandorf Titans, Tim Pullitz, and became the boys Putnam County all-time leading scorer, as well as OG's all-time leading scorer. That's high praise. Jonas Nichols, 33 points, became Hoban's all-time leading scorer, surpassed Colin Gurley, who we'll talk about later. And the 7 undefeated teams we'll talk about in our 7 undefeated teams remaining. We'll talk about in our buy and sell. Let's move to players and teams of the week. Roth, I will start with your player of the week.
I went with Joe McBride from Hamilton Township. He's just a sophomore, but he had 2 game winners this week against Westland and Liberty Union. Both shots came with under 2 seconds to go. So a lot of players don't have one buzzer beater in their entire season. McBride, 2 in 1 week. That's pretty impressive. So he is my player of the week.
I went with Matthew Bedell out of Menor. So what was just an absolute firecracker of a game against Strongsville. Menor won 114 to 100. It was their second time beating Strongsville on the year. Matt scored nearly a school record 46 points to keep Menor undefeated in the GCC and put them in a really, really great place to win the league. And the GCC, in my opinion, is always one of the more competitive leagues in Northeast Ohio. Also one of the most well coached. So yeah, shout out to Matthew Bedell. He will be playing next year for the Walsh Cavaliers, a Division II team that we've mentioned quite a bit here on the show as well. Did
you mention Matthew going over 1,000? I didn't.
Oh yeah, so yeah, in route to the 46 points, he also scored 1,000 points on his career as well. So
yeah, shout out. That's pretty cool. For me, I went with a co-player of the week because they're on the same team. I went with Dorian Jones and TJ Crumble. Richmond Heights had wins over Brush and St. Vincent St. Mary's. Just your typical week in Division 4. Dorian Jones had 18 in the win over Brush, 17 in the win over St. V. TJ Crumble had 22 points, 9 rebounds against Brush, and then 16 in the win over St. V. Richmond Heights has a really good chance to keep this rolling right on into the tournament. First part of their schedule, much, much more difficult than the back. Not that the back half's weak, but first half, much, much more difficult. So Dorian Jones, TJ Crumble, Richmond Heights, my players of the week for this week. Team of the week, Roth.
We kind of got peer pressured into this one by
he cowered.
certain someone. I was thinking about making Lakota West my team of the week, but I figured since I already shouted them out earlier, I'll pick St. Ignatius as my team of the week. They had wins over Lutheran East and Bookdale on back-to-back nights, and they also knocked off Lutheran West from the list of unbeatens last Saturday, so a little over a week ago. But Ignatius is playing as good a ball as anybody in the state of Ohio, have a lot of depth. Their schedule matches up with anybody in the state of Ohio, and they've just done a great job of playing tough games, especially in some tough environments. They have wins at Centerville this year. The Bookdale game, I believe, was on the road as well. They go to St. Ed's this Friday night, so that'll be a rematch after Ignatius really took it to them on their home court. So it'll be interesting to see what Ed's has for them this Friday night. But St. Ignatius is our team of the week. Maybe it's a little overdue, but here they are.
Listen, don't tell anyone this, but if they do get that points per game allowed down to 55 or 56, I will change my pick. So Coach Brooks, Coach Joyce, get the points per game allowed down to that mark, and I'm taking you. They are super fun to watch. They are super fun to watch. The way they move the ball and have multiple guys that can do a lot of different things, they are super fun to watch. If you haven't seen them play, you need to check them out. They are fun to watch.
For my team of the week, I went with Akron Archbishop Hoban, who went 3-0 with wins over Walsh Jesuit, Spire, and Lutheran West on the road. Senior Jonas Nichols became the school's all-time leading scorer in the process. Don't look now, but the Knights are 7-2 since the Christmas break, and they seem to kind of be hitting their stride very similarly to how they did a year ago. Newcomers John Johnson, who's just a freshman, and Kenny Scott, who transferred over from Glen Oak, combined are averaging nearly about 20 points a night to go along with what they're going to get on a daily basis from Jonas Nichols. And then you don't forget to throw in the big fella down low. I think it's just a matter of time before he gets his legs under him. Hoban's got a real chance. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, Division I in Northeast Ohio is pretty wide open. So, yeah, shout out to the Knights and Coach TK Griffith over there.
John Johnson, it's just a great name.
I love it.
It's a great name.
I love it.
My guidance counselor in elementary, his name was Thomas. I mean, I don't know what his parents were thinking.
What's the craziest basketball name you guys can?
I had a kid from my school who was named Elias.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. I always go back to the classic. I think everybody knows this guy, but God Sham God is got to be one of the most absurd, unique names ever, man. Shout out to Sham God. Yeah, that's nuts.
My team of the week, just to close us out here, is Seaman North Adams. They're 12-3. They've won 10 straight, and I think they are starting to become the team we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year. But like we told you back in December, for some of these teams, it takes time, man. It takes time to gel and get things right. They beat Fayetteville Perry last week, and then the big win over previously unbeaten Fairfield. And then a game I was kind of surprised. The very next night, they beat Portsmouth, which that's a tough back-to-back for North Adams. And they got a really good chance to win out, which they're going to be carrying a lot of momentum into that D3 tournament in Southeast Ohio. So North Adams, my team of the week. All right, gentlemen, let's quickly run through our games of the week so we can get to buy or sell. TJ, I'll start with you. Games of the week.
So Hilliard Bradley and Olentangy Liberty was a game that caught my eye. Sorry for that noise, guys. I was the God Awful Max Preps website in one of their interactive ads. Oh, it drives me nuts, but that's a different conversation. But yeah, Hilliard Bradley, Olentangy Liberty on Friday. That was a game between, in my opinion, two of the probably top 6 or 7 teams in Central Ohio. The Ignatius Edge rematch that Roth mentioned earlier, that game is also on Friday. I think Ignatius is going to see a much different Edge team this time around, especially at home. And then lastly, a very sneaky good game on Saturday is Brunswick at Canton McKinley. Canton McKinley is currently number 1 in the Federal League. Coach Weatherspoon in his first year has brought his alma mater to a really good spot. I don't think many people, if any, predicted them in the preseason to be leading the league, but shout out to him. They have a big test against Brunswick, who we made a case for being one of the top 12 teams in the state in Division I.
All right, my games of the week, starting off on Tuesday, a little small school battle, Bishop Reedy at Columbus Academy. Reedy dominated the first matchup in this season's series at home. This time they'll take a trip to play on the road against Columbus Academy. And then a couple of Southwest Ohio games on Saturday. Unbeaten Wyoming goes to Cincinnati St. X. So that'll be the biggest challenge in Wyoming's season. Really probably tell us if they are the favorite in Division II at Southwest to make it to the Final Four. Friday night, myself and hopefully a friend of the program, Corey Albertson, will be going to Elder for Moeller at Elder. Huge GCL rivalry. It'll be my first time catching Elder this season. Second time catching Moeller. Should be a big time atmosphere at Elder. So I'm excited for that one. And then Tuesday night, doesn't get much bigger than this in Fairview. Lutheran West is coming to town. Another edition of the rivalry. Lutheran West, top-ranked team in Division II. Fairview, according to Martin RPI, Fairview is 8th in Division III RPI. So might not be as close as I'm hyping the game up to be, but we'll see. Fairview is severely lacking in the size department. So maybe I'll call up Coach Duke and see if the Meyer twins can maybe take a break and relax, because Lutheran West has a big game on Friday. Want them to be as rested as possible to go up against Jesse McCullough. So if they don't want to take their warm-ups off on Tuesday night, A-okay with me.
Roth. Oh, Fairview, baby. All right. For me, Friday night, Spencerville at Bluffton. And then Bluffton is at home again on Saturday against Pandora Gilboa. Now, this is interesting. Back on December the 7th, I texted Tyson McLaughlin, head coach at Ottawa Glandorf. December 7th. I said, hey, coach, I'm small talk. What's one team up in your area that you think is flying under the radar? Within a minute, he types back Bluffton. They are 14-2. They are on a 12-game winning streak. I also asked him, anyone else that you think is sneaky good that may surprise people? Again, this was on December 7th. He said LCC. He knows ball. Tyson,
Yeah, LCC got him.
Tyson McLaughlin knows ball, man. There's no doubt about it. He nailed, maybe some people would have, I don't know how many people would have said Bluffton, but, they're 14-2, 12-game winning streak. They got 2 big games this week, so wanted to shout them out, and Tyson McLaughlin for just knowing ball. Let's just be honest. His dad was a ball coach. He's a ball coach. He was a player. Toledo Christian at Maumee Valley Country Day on Friday, a big TAC game there. Martins Ferry, Ross Purple Riders will go to Harrison Central on Wednesday. Martins Ferry beat Harrison Central on Saturday for the Buckeye 8 championship. Minford at South Webster on Friday. Minford also plays Miami Trace, who's 13-4 on Tuesday. Roth alluded to this game earlier. Lutheran East at Lutheran West should be a marquee showdown this week. And then Wyoming at Cincinnati Marymount on Tuesday. Keep an eye on that game out of the Cincinnati Hills League. All right. So that'll do it.
I was talking to Coach Liggins back in January. It was like right before they tipped off against. I said back in January, like we're not in January. Man. But it was right before the. I know, right? I don't even know at this point. But it was right before the Richmond Heights game, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, man," I was like, "How bad do you want to win this game?" And he kind of shrugged it off, and he said every year his goal is to beat Lutheran West, and that's the one game that he circles on the schedule every year. So I expect that one to be, nothing less than, just an absolute banger on Saturday.
All right, gentlemen, let's do this buy or sell real quick here. So what we're going to do, there's 7 undefeateds left. All right, and I'm going to give you the team, their games that they play this week, and, well, I'll walk you through the first one here, gentlemen. So Olentangy Orange, undefeated. They will be undefeated this weekend after playing Upper Arlington on Friday and Pickerington Central on Saturday, both home games for the Pioneers.
And that's not just because we're waiting for somebody to join in 5 minutes.
All right, so Orange is undefeated at the week's end. Garfield Heights, Tuesday, home against Shaker Heights. Saturday, at Warrensville Heights. Garfield Heights will be undefeated at the week's end. Okay, we're 2 for 2, gentlemen.
Couple big rivalries though for Sunny Squad against Shaker and then against Goggle Meach.
All right, I think we might get a couple thumbs down here. Let's see.
I was looking at Garfield Heights' schedule, and I think out of the 7 unbeaten, I think they realistically have the best chance to run the table and finish 22-0. Which, if I'm Sunny, that kind of scares me a little bit. I don't know if I'm a coach. I don't know if I want to go into the tournament undefeated, but you also don't want to lose games either. It's a bit of a weird spot, but.
All right, next team, Cincinnati, Wyoming. They got a loaded week. They are at Marymount Tuesday, Friday home with Indian Hill, and then Saturday at St. Xavier. They will be undefeated at the end of the week. All right, I'm going to put some pressure on you. Which team gets them? Is it Marymount or is it St. Xavier?
I'm going to say St. X. St. X gets them. And I think I mentioned them a few weeks ago, but Wyoming has a chance in the next 2 years to be really good. That 2026 class they have over there, a group of sophomores, is special. And they've been productive not only this year, but also last year as freshmen too. So Wyoming is a team to keep an eye on moving forward.
Yeah, hopefully they continue to schedule up in the non-conference. They got Elder this Saturday, or Elder on Tuesday, St. X this Saturday. They play CJ. They also beat LaSalle, so they scheduled the 3 GCL teams besides Moeller this year. Hopefully they continue with that and schedule even tougher next year because they have the talent to compete with almost anybody in Southwest Ohio next year. So should be fun to watch what they schedule for.
All right, Malvern, nobody's beating them this week. If somebody does, I'll paint my face with whatever team beats them, but it's not happening this week. Ashland Crestview, to me, they are the team that I'm most confident in finishing undefeated. Looking at the remaining schedule, I don't see. If you look at most of the games are repeat games of conference games where they just absolutely boat race those teams the first time around. So nobody's beating them this week. Russia is at Anna on Friday. Russia will be undefeated at the end of the week. Okay. And then the last, Monroe Central, I don't see anybody. I feel like the back Like they've got River, 2 games with Martins Ferry and the OVAC tournament, which they'll play a semi and a final. So this back half of their schedule is kind of heavy. I don't see anybody beating them this week. So really, gentlemen, the only team we see getting crossed off this list this week is possibly Wyoming.
Yeah, after we've had, I asked you this question 2 weeks ago, and we were at 13.
Yep.
So already half of them have gotten eliminated in 2 weeks, but I feel better about these 7 teams. A lot of the teams that got crossed off, I wasn't super shocked that they lost a game. I'll be curious to see Ashland Crestview. I mean, looking at their schedule, they seem like they can win in multiple ways. They have a game where they scored almost, I think, over 100 points, and then also they have a 40-39 win over Colonel Crawford. So that's a team that can kind of do it however they want. So I'll be curious in Division III if they can make it to the regional semis, how they fare under the bright lights in the Stroh Center at BG. So they're a team to watch. I feel like not many people are talking about. Maybe they are a paper tiger. Who knows?
All right. Our Alumni Spotlight, do we want to go ahead and go with that?
Yeah, we can go ahead and run through it quick. For my Division I Alumni Spotlight pick of the week, I went with Jalen Sullinger from Kent State. He scored a game-high 30 points on 10-19 from the floor in a big win and much-needed win over Bowling Green, who had 4 straight wins coming into that game. Sullinger is currently averaging a team best 14.7 points per game, and he's shooting nearly 40% from behind the arc, also playing for his uncle Jules.
My Division I player of the week is Brandon Noel from Chillicothe. He is at Wright State. He scored 20 points and grabbed 11 rebounds in Wright State's victory at IUPUI. The Raiders have won 3 in a row, and they have a handful of in-state talent making a big impact for their team. But I thought Noel had an impressive week for the Raiders. We'll see if they can make it back to the NCAA tournament with another Horizon League tournament championship in March.
And I went with veteran Raheem Moss, Springfield alum, current Toledo Rocket. He had 20 points, 6 rebounds, and a win at Northern Illinois. And then 15 points and 10 assists in a win, a big rivalry win over Bowling Green. Toledo's hot right now. They've won 7 of their last 8 games in the MAC. Small school. Let's turn the page to small school. TJ, who do we got?
Man, I guess I'm just showing a lot of Columbus love. 270 hoops. Where you at? I went with Maceo Williams out of Ashland. He scored 34 points and pulled down 8 rebounds in the 79-74 win over Thomas More on Saturday. Williams shot 11 of 14 from the field and almost went perfect from the charity stripe, shooting 12 of 13. GMAC is always one of my favorite conferences to watch, and this year is no different. Seems to almost like you can lose on any given night. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of freebies in the league this year. So, but shout out to Ashland and Maceo Williams.
Roth?
Well, if TJ is going to be going to Columbus, I am going to be staying right at home in Cincinnati. I went with Robbie Cass from Mount Healthy. He is at Notre Dame College. He had a career-high 16 points and a win against Salem over the weekend for Notre Dame College. So shout out Robbie. He's been a steady contributor for Notre Dame College this year and had his breakout game over the weekend. So he is my small college player of the week.
And I went with Colin Gurley of Mount Union, Akron Hoban graduate. This is weird, man. He scored 15 points in a win over Baldwin Wallace and 14 and 4 rebounds in a win over Ohio Northern. But he broke the Mount Union scoring record in the win over BW, passing Aaron Shipp, a 1998 graduate of Mount Union, with who had 1,719 points. He's a Newark graduate. So it was weird because he lost his top spot at Hoban to Jonas Nichols, and then he takes the top spot at Mount Union. So pretty cool week for Colin Gurley at Mount Union. So
and shout out to Colin, man. I feel like he's been at Mount longer than the majority of their professors, man. So
yeah.
Colin, definitely one of my favorite kids to talk to, and he's at my alma mater, baby. So shout out to Purple Raiders.
All right. Well, that wraps up our Alumni Spotlight. We're going to close the show today, unfortunately, with this special guest. Apparently, we had to bring him on. See if he even shows up. Well, there he is.
Stubbs, this is just for you.
Waiting on Olentangy Orange head coach Anthony Calo, his first appearance on the drive to Dayton. Oh, here he is. Look at that.
What's up, guys?
Wow.
You had to go throw the polo on, man. I know that look.
This is went straight from class to practice to home look.
Oh man.
He had
I don't envy you.
He had the Calo cut off on after a few. The old man get a few bicep curls in, throw the polo on.
My sleeves are not rolled up like my old man. I can tell you that right now. He's a little stronger than I am.
Well, Coach Calo, I've known you for quite a while. Before your days at Olentangy Orange, you were screaming and yelling at Westerville South guys. And to be honest with you, I never thought you would leave there. And then when you took the Orange job, I knew it was only a matter of time before you put your blueprint on that program. But here you are. How do you, is the program where you envisioned it would be when you took this job, or are you still trying to get to somewhere?
Oh man, big question, Kurt. Yeah, I mean, you're never satisfied, but I certainly wouldn't say we're content with where we are, but I think we've come a long way. I think our staff is proud of how far we've gotten in the last few years. It's like 7 winning years in a row. Mm-hmm. Last year, obviously, the Elite Eight appearance, and lost a lot, and here we are. So I think we're proud of the work we've done, but certainly not satisfied, not content. Always striving for our best performance every day.
I think the crazy thing about your team this year is you lost 3 scholarship guards off that team last year. And that's really hard to replace. Those guys did a lot for you. And you told me in the summer you had a really good JV team last year. And then, you had Devin coming back, and he's made a huge leap. Are you even a little bit surprised where this team is currently based off of what you lost last year?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. If you would have told me at the end of last season, in our 20 minutes after our regional final loss, if you would have said you're sitting at 16-0 and number 1 in the AP poll, which AP poll is AP poll, it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? But like, if you would have said you're sitting at 16-0, I would have said, get the heck out of here. Did I believe in, and that's not, and our guys know, like our current guys know, I got a lot of belief in them. But like you said, it's really challenging to lose 3 scholarship guards and 7 great seniors, and to reboot that quickly. But yeah, I mean, I would say though, in the summer, we went 4-0 at Midwest Live. And at that point, guys, I knew we were on something special. From the beginning, our kids wanted to write their own narrative. They wanted to write their own story. They had confidence in each other, confidence in themselves. And after Midwest Live, it started, like, it felt okay. Like the expectations kind of changed a little bit. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Certainly a bit of a surprise. But as the farther we've gotten into this, got a ton of belief in this team. So doing a great job.
And Coach, we talked, in private about the improvement that junior Devin Brown has had, and just the major leap that he took from not only last season to this season, but hell, I think even just from this past summer to now, I think he's made a pretty significant jump. How important do you think it was for him to play behind those seniors last year, kind of learn to, kind of figure out what his role was, mold into it, and then step into, those shoes as a junior?
Yeah, super important, TJ. Devin was in a real, I would say Devin arguably is our first best player last year behind those 3 scholarship guys. We had other guys that played valuable roles, but, overall Devin was our 4th best player last year. But it was a fairly safe role. Like he was 3 scholarship guards who took most of the shots. Devin averaged like 7 points a game as a sophomore on a team that went 24-4. So he had a very good year. And he had big games too, right? Like he had over 20 versus DeSales. He had some big nights. But yeah, he's taken huge leaps. And I think it really helped to those guys helped him in a ton of ways. And he's really tight with those guys. But I think for our program, it was huge because to me, those 3 scholarship guys were really talented, but they were also really great teammates and really selfless. And just as a coach, the way you want it done. And I think they modeled a lot of really positive things for Devin, the preparation, the hard work, the being an elite player, but also a great teammate who has a lot of humility. And he's just really taken the reins from them. And from the beginning, from Midwest Live, our coaching staff's been blown away with Devin's leadership. So I think, whatever they did, he caught it and has put his own stamp on it. And it's been really fun to watch his maturation process.
Coach, you guys start 2 sophomores at the guard spot. Levi Davis last year was a role guy off the bench, is also a very talented football player. And then you also start a sophomore, Trayton Schroeder, who was a key part of your unbeaten JV team. How important is it to have a kid like Schroeder who comes from JV and is ready to go from day one, and also a kid like Levi Davis who excels at another sport and I guess could easily just focus on football in the winter, but he's out here on the hardwood helping you win games and does a lot of little things and makes a lot of toughness plays for you guys to help you guys win?
Yeah. What's the exact question, Mike? Sorry.
Just how both of those kids were just ready to compete for you guys with, Levi limited varsity experience last year and then Trayton coming from the JV level.
Yeah, both those guys grew up in our youth program. Trayton came in, I think, 5th grade, and Levi's been playing with our travel guys since 3rd grade. And Coach Taylor actually is a varsity assistant, and he was their youth coach because he has a kid their age. And so we knew about those guys for a long time. Coming to our youth camp too, really excited to coach those guys for a while now. Thought they could be special, and they've turned out to be pretty special. But they're, I think, the football thing helps both of them. I think both those kids are really tough, good athletes. Trayton was actually 3rd team All-State defensive back as a sophomore. Set the school record for interceptions. And both have good instincts, good athletes, pressure the ball really well. I'm hoping when it's all said and done, they'll be the best 2 on-ball defenders I've ever coached, and I think there's a real chance at that. They just set the tone up top on the ball and do a really good job. As you guys know, if you can contain the ball and pressure the ball, it makes a big difference for your squad.
Coach, I know you come from a coaching family and you know how to answer questions. But what is the one thing we were on the doorstep last year in Athens? You tasted. It was this close. What is the one thing that has to happen this year for you to get over that hump and show up at UD Arena? What is the one thing that has to happen?
Yeah. So the one thing that has to happen, before I answer the one thing that has to happen, I got to say, love the show. It's a great show, Drive to Dayton, but I was hoping my first drive to Dayton would have been last year after we beat your Pickerington Central Tigers. But unfortunately, we couldn't get that done. But yeah, the one thing that has to happen, I think it's just, I don't know, like, sorry, my son's wilding over there. He's distracting me, my 3-year-old. But I think he just screamed. My wife told him to knock it off, and he said, but he's my dad. Anyway, the one thing that has to happen. Sorry. The one thing that has to happen, I think there are some teams that, I hope this doesn't take our kids off. I don't think it will. We talked about it today. I recognize there's some teams more talented than us overall. So our just relentlessness with our focus and our discipline, I think that's what got us to this point. And, we just can't get fat and happy. We got to continue to, it's okay if there's more talented teams on paper is what I'm saying. We have to make sure that our teamwork and our discipline are just on point. Maybe we don't have as much margin for error as a Garfield Heights or somebody like that, right? Like we got to make sure our discipline and our teamwork are exceptional.
Coach, the one game I was at this year was against Hilliard Bradley, and it went down to the wire. You guys are going to rematch with them in, I believe it's next Friday. It's definitely going to be for the conference championship. What are the keys to that game without looking too far ahead for your 2 games that you have this week?
Yeah, a lot of respect for that Bradley squad, as I'm a fan of the game like you guys, like it's my brother and I love to do predictions, right? Like I like to do my top 15 Central Ohio before the season, just like, you guys do. And I bring that up because coming into the year, I thought Bradley had as good of a chance to make it out of our region as anybody. So, got a lot of respect for the program, really disciplined, a lot of teamwork, like I referenced that we try to have. But, that game versus Bradley should be a great basketball game. You were at the first one, Roth, right? It was a fun game. And, obviously when it comes to Bradley, you got to talk about Cade Norris. Exceptional player. Cade murdered us last year, unfortunately. He had, I think he averaged 30.5 a game in 2 games last year versus the Pioneers. We only had 4 losses on the year. And Cade and the Bradley Jaguars were 2 of them. So they had our number last year. Very good team. They're hitting their stride right now. They're playing typical Bradley disciplined team basketball right now. So it's going to be a grind. I'm not going to get into the game plan too much, but we got some things that are really important to us that we'll have to take care of in that game. So yeah.
Coach, we had a segment earlier in the show during Buy or Sell when we were looking at, all the remaining unbeaten teams here in Ohio. We were trying to figure out which teams, had the best chance of, running the tables and, who would lose games this week and so on and so on. And I kind of brought up a point. I think it'd be interesting to hear from someone who's in those shoes right now. As a coach, you never want to lose a game. But do you kind of, you're not too mad if you guys drop one off the rest of the way?
So it's funny. I'll answer that question because I've been answering it a lot. But did all 3 of you guys sell on us? Buy or sell? Did we get sold by all 3 of you guys?
We got you. We got you.
You bought.
Yeah, not the rest of the way though, brother.
So, yeah, I get the theories, right? I get it. I think a couple things. I think we've had a couple wins that have hopefully refocused us that we're a little hairy, need to be a little tougher. But then, I get it. I understand how a loss could refocus you, make you a little hungrier, reset you, whatever the case may be. But my buddy, I joke about it at work, good friend of mine. I was like, let's play this out. Okay. You don't want to lose a league game because if you lose a league game, Bradley only has 1 loss and you can lose your league. So you don't want to lose the league game. Well, our first non-league game is Pick Central, who put us out in the regional semi last year. You don't want to lose to them. Then you have an Olentangy team who's 10-6 and a rival of yours. You don't want to lose to them in a non-league game. And the rest is league until you get to DeSales at 21-0. And do you really want to be 21-0 and lose your final game right before the tournament? You know what I mean? So, like, as we play that out, I can't pick one of those games where I'm like, yup, I would love to lose that one. You know? So it's like, I get it, but let's just learn from some wins right now and do our best to keep this going.
All right, Coach, I'm gonna end it. I know you got dad, husband, all those good things to do. 2 questions for you. One, if you had to pick 3 teams in Central Ohio right now, outside of yourself, that are very scary, who would they be? And then the biggest question of the show is, how does a guy wearing purple get in for free on Saturday night?
Oh man, that second one, I just don't think that's gonna happen for your brother. Just kidding, I'll get you on there. But and if any of you guys are coming, just let me know always. Oh man, the first one I feel like it's a setup. I'm gonna end up on bulletin boards, guys. 3 teams.
No, yeah, just you and you don't have to be 3. Just teams that you think are scary. Like if you were just a guy watching ball, who
we're talking Central Ohio. We're talking
yeah,
state.
Central Ohio.
Okay. I mean, looking at the sheer amount of Division I players, Brownsburg has the most, right? Like from a talent perspective, from the beginning, everyone knew. Well, it's funny because I don't know. I feel like in a lot of preseason stuff, Brownsburg didn't get picked as much as I would have thought. And I'm like, guys, when you have multiple guys with scholarship, Division I scholarship offers, talent's going to take you. And I think Andy is a good coach as well. So, obviously from a talent perspective, I got Brownsburg. Delaware's playing exceptional. Delaware only has 1 loss, right, guys?
Yep.
And they're battle tested. 2 wins versus Westfield North. They play Westfield South again. I think they're probably had a little bit of. I don't think Coach Vincenzo would be offended by this. Probably had some chemistry things to work through with Landon coming over. But it seems like they're starting to figure that out at this point. And when you have 2 6+ Division I players with really good role players around you, you're gonna have a chance. So I would have Delaware, and I think Bradley is exceptional. So no disrespect to anyone else out there, but with Cade and the surrounding cast, just knowing how to play so well with Cade, Coach Norris, and getting those guys to play so disciplined and tough, like. I guess my answer would be those 3. No disrespect to anybody else.
Is there anyone?
There's obviously a lot of other really good teams as well.
Is there anyone you think people are sleeping on that you think could make some noise come tournament time?
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of good sleepers out there.
Grove City, one of them.
Yeah, I thought Grove City played us very tough. New Albany's playing really well.
Mm-hmm.
They've certainly improved. I got a ton of respect for Coach Casey over there. Westfield North's got a lot of talent, and they got chemistry together. I think Big Walnut, I think they're better than people realize. And obviously my dad's squad with Cruz and, any team coached by my dad, I'm never going to rule them out. So, yeah.
Well, Coach, man, we really appreciate you jumping on here with us and taking some time out of your night. And God willing, I'll probably see you on Saturday, man.
Send me a text. I'll get you on there, even with that flag in the background.
Yeah, I'm sure. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it, man.
Hey, appreciate your guys' work, man. I think Ohio has great basketball, and just appreciate you creating awareness. And I don't know, it's fun listening to you guys. It shows that you love some hoops, and I do too. So it's just fun to listen to you guys chop it up.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it.
See you guys. Thanks.
Well, that was Coach Anthony Calo of the Orange Pioneers. Gentlemen, do you guys got anything else for the good of the order?
See you in the gym.
Go Cavs tonight.
Yeah, all right.
I'm on my way.
Later, gentlemen.
Yep. See you.